You won't believe the life-changing advice that transformed this man's journey. What he discovered might just do the same for you. Rohan lived in a small, quiet village where life moved slowly. He had everything one might desire: a stable job, a modest home, and a loving family. The joy he expected from his achievements was missing, and he found himself asking more and more frequently, "Is this all there is?" Each day was a repetition of the last. He woke up, went to work, and returned home feeling exhausted but unfulfilled. His mind was always preoccupied with worries about the future. No matter how hard he tried to stay focused, there was a nagging sense that something important was missing. One day, while walking through the village market, Rohan overheard a conversation that made him stop in his tracks. Two elderly men sat near a tea stall, their voices low but clear enough to catch his attention. One of the men was a well-known monk, admired for his wisdom. The monk was sharing advice with the other man, his voice calm yet compelling. "The secret to living a fulfilled life," the monk said, "is not found in chasing after things or achievements. It's in how you live each moment, in how you perceive the world and yourself." These words struck Rohan like a lightning bolt. Intrigued, he stepped closer and asked, "What do you mean by that? How can I feel fulfilled when I have everything I thought would make me happy, yet I still feel so empty?" The monk smiled warmly, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding. "Sit with me for a moment," he said, motioning to a bench nearby. Rohan hesitated for a second, but then sat down, eager to hear what the monk had to say. "Let me tell you a story," the monk began. "There was once a man, much like you. He had everything that society said would bring happiness, wealth, success, and recognition, but inside, he was deeply unhappy. No matter how much he achieved, he felt as though something was missing. So he went to a wise sage and asked, 'How can I find peace in my life?' The sage gave him a simple task. He handed the man a large jar and said, 'Fill this jar with rocks, pebbles, and sand, but make sure everything fits.' Rohan listened carefully, intrigued by the simplicity of the task. The man began by pouring in the sand first, thinking it would be easiest to fill the gaps. Then he added the pebbles, and finally, he tried to squeeze in the rocks. But no matter how he arranged them, there wasn't enough room for everything. The jar overflowed. Rohan nodded, understanding the challenge. The man went back to the sage and said, "I can't make it all fit." The sage smiled and replied, "You must place the big rocks first, then the pebbles, and lastly, the sand. The big rocks represent the most important things in life: your peace of mind, your values, your purpose. The pebbles are the less important things, and the sand represents the distractions, the minor details of daily life. If you fill your life with the small things first, the big things won't fit." Rohan sat quietly, absorbing the lesson. He could feel the truth of it resonate within him. "The lesson," the monk said gently, "is to prioritize what truly matters. Too often, we get caught up in the small, insignificant things, like material success, social approval, or fleeting pleasures, and we forget to focus on what really matters: our inner peace, our relationships, and our purpose." Rohan felt as though a light had been switched on in his mind. He realized that he had been living his life focused on the sand, the distractions, the worries about work, the pursuit of recognition, while neglecting the big rocks. His peace of mind had taken a back seat, and his relationships with his loved ones were often pushed aside in his rush to meet expectations. "But how do I begin?" Rohan asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "How do I make room for the big rocks in my life?" The monk's expression softened as he leaned in closer. "You begin by letting go of your attachment to outcomes," he said. "Most of our suffering comes from attachment. We believe that happiness lies in achieving certain things or becoming a certain way, but true happiness is already within you. It's not something you need to chase. It's something you need to uncover." This struck a deep chord with Rohan. For years he had been chasing happiness, believing it was something he had to earn or find through success. But now, for the first time, he began to understand that happiness was already there, buried beneath layers of desires, fears, and expectations. The key to peace, the monk continued, is living mindfully. It's about being present in each moment, appreciating the here and now, and letting go of the need to control everything. When you let go of your need to control the future, you open yourself to the beauty of the present. Rohan sat in silence, reflecting on these words. He could see how much of his life had been consumed by worrying about things that hadn't even happened yet. In his quest to secure a better future, he had missed the present entirely, and in doing so, he had lost sight of what really mattered. Over the next few weeks, Rohan began to practice what the monk had taught him. Each morning, he would rise early and sit quietly, focusing on his breath, letting go of the thoughts that raced through his mind. He didn't try to force anything, he simply allowed himself to be present. And slowly, something remarkable began to happen. The constant noise in his head started to quiet down. He began to feel more grounded, more at peace. He also made an effort to spend more time with his family. Instead of rushing through meals or checking his phone during conversations, he began to fully engage with the people around him. He listened to their stories, shared in their joys and struggles, and found that these moments, once overlooked, were the most fulfilling parts of his day. Gradually, the emptiness inside him began to fade. It wasn't a dramatic transformation. It was slow, subtle, but undeniable. The more he focused on the big rocks in his life, the more content he became. The distractions, the small annoyances, no longer had the power to overwhelm him. He found peace in the present moment, in the simple act of living fully. One evening, as Rohan sat on his porch watching the sunset, he thought back to the monk's words. The advice had seemed so simple, yet it had completely transformed his life. He had spent years chasing after happiness, trying to control every detail of his future, only to find that peace had been within his grasp all along. It was in letting go, in surrendering his need for control, that he had found the fulfillment he had been searching for. The monk's final words echoed in his mind. Life is not a race to be won, but a journey to be savored. True wisdom is in living each day with gratitude and mindfulness, without attachment to outcomes. Rohan smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment wash over him. He no longer needed to chase after success or perfection. He understood now that the key to a fulfilled life wasn't in achieving more, but in appreciating what was already there. With a heart full of gratitude, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. For the first time in a long while, he felt truly at peace. He had learned to focus on the big rocks, to live mindfully, and to let go of the unnecessary worries that had weighed him down. And in doing so, he had found the happiness that had been with him all along, just waiting to be discovered.